Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Living with S. I'm your host, Sharon Mundia, and I've got an amazing woman on the couch with me today. We're actually here at Cozy Residences, which is in Kileleshwa, beautiful space. And I'm about to just dive into her life, ask her questions about her journey through radio, her journey as a writer, and also how she founded one of the most instrumental and powerful movements right now where it allows women to share their stories and to allow women to see themselves in others, which is dadasphere. So welcome, Valentine.
I love this intro. I should have packaged it, walk around with, who are you?
This is me. Look at me.
This is it, yes.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit nervous.
Why?
TV makes you nervous.
Does it?
When you're on the other side of the couch and I'm so serious.
You've got the most
no, I'm
number of years in this space, media, TV.
It's true.
It's
been 15.
Look at that.
Yeah, 15 years.
How can anything make you nervous?
What?
When it comes to TV, at least.
Because I'm usually asking the questions.
Uh-huh.
This is now different. I'm even like, woi.
I'll be kind. I'll be good.
Okay.
And if you want to, if at some point you're like, you know what, I'll interview myself. Take over.
I'll
just be here so that's how we learn.
That's funny.
So I want us to start by just getting an idea of how you first stepped into the media space.
Okay.
It started off when you were in the States. Is it when you started, when the idea
No,
first?
in the States, so I studied computer science and philosophy, but I always wanted to be in media. So I was thinking maybe computer science, I'll get somehow involved, tech and media kind of go together. Okay. So then I came home. I was very depressed. I was going through a horrible breakup. I was in a relationship that turned abusive. So I kind of escaped the States. I mean, I finished school, but
was that relationship in the States?
Yes.
Okay.
And then came home, and my mom was just looking at me like, "What is up with you?" So I kind of didn't want to work. I was like, "I'm finding myself." She's like, "Whatever." She was giving me no money. I'm like, "Mom, can I drive the car?" She's like, "Nope." Then she's like, I've put in you everything you need for success. You have an education and a hunger for the finer things in life. Go get them.
Yeah. So I'm curious to I just want to pause a little bit about the relationship that you mentioned, not to go into details, but was you leaving because you knew you needed to leave that toxic space, or was it because you had finished your undergrad and were coming?
Well, I finished my undergrad, but I wasn't sure when I always knew I was coming home, but I didn't know when and under what circumstances. But that relationship precipitated that. And I didn't feel safe in the States. So it was a situation, I went to Walmart, I bought suitcases, I put them in the boot of my car, and then slowly I was packing my stuff into the suitcases, and then I left. I didn't even tell him I'd left until I was in London, and I was like, okay, I'm out of the States. I was like, I've bounced.
Look at that. And
that house is no longer yours. I handed the keys to the landlord. I gave the car to my friend. I was like, bye. It's done.
See, now I just want to stop this. Let's pause.
When women escape violent relationships, I get the urgency of it, and that it needs planning and you need support. I don't know what I'd have done if I had to stay in the States and actually deal with the guy.
How did you know that you were ready to leave?
It was a violent relationship. It wasn't.
And had it been violent for a while?
No, it turned violent very quickly. I remember the date was January 16th, and I was home by May. So there was never a moment of I'm staying, we're working on this.
Okay.
He hit me at a moment, I was like, this is not my life.
And you were
this is not what God put me here to do.
Right.
This is not it. I'm out. Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
So it took planning.
Yeah.
Took a month.
Okay.
To leave, even though I had a ticket.
Yeah.
And my dad knew something was off. He was like, I don't know why you're still there. You finished school, you should come home.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what's going on with you. You're not okay. Come home.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll send you a ticket every single year, but come home. So you need support. You need that kind of support. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Now my dad's going to watch this. He'll be like, what was happening with you?
But bless him, and you're right. Bless family and friends who are able to be there at such a time, because it can also be such a lonely space, and you can find yourself, I guess.
And I was embarrassed. I didn't tell my parents. I don't even think to this day they fully understand the circumstances that made me leave. Yeah.
And that's so sad that you have those feelings of being embarrassed or shame.
Because you feel okay, I felt how did I end up here? How did I pick such a wrong guy? What happened in this relationship? How did we it's such a collapse in communications. It's like, why is this my life? Yes. And then, you know, when you call yourself things like, oh, I'm a strong woman, I'm a smart woman, they box you in. Sometimes you can't ask for help because you're the person people come to help for. It's like, okay, I'll talk to Valentine. She's my smart friend. And there, I was not the smart friend. I was, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
You pack your bags, done with that relationship. You're here, and I guess you're going through the motions of it and like trying to come out of it. You were saying your mom is also trying to be like, hey, girl.
They could tell something was wrong with me, like completely wrong with me. I was just not myself, very kind of depressed, withdrawn, and I feel like God gave me a gift. So Somoina was still the boss at Capital. I think she had just started maybe a few months before I came home.
Yeah, who's now the MD.
She is,
yeah,
yes.
Look at her.
So we were in the same primary school, and with Nini Washera, a whole bunch of us from Consolata, for some reason at that time, were working at Capital. So I was actually picking Washera up, like we're going to go out. And then, so I get in there, I say hi to Somoina. She's like, you know, we're actually doing voice tests, so just try. So we walked into the studio, I did the voice test, she hired me on the spot. She was like, what? So can you start training on Monday? I was like, what?
When did you know that media was something that you wanted to do?
Forever.
Forever.
I was coming home, I wanted to start a talk show.
Okay.
I had topics, like I had a notebook. Like, this is what
and
I
was
want
it,
to talk
did you know if it was
about, or
TV or
I
radio?
wanted TV, but it just hasn't happened.
Okay.
But other things have happened. So I don't know, God kind of guides you through life, and yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So you start your radio career started at Capital FM.
Yes.
And at which point then did writing come into play?
Writing came in 2000 and is it 7 or 8? Again, kind of by accident.
Okay.
I was journaling, and then Classic hired me back. So then they were starting the Star, and they were like, anyone want to write? We're looking for writers. So then I handed in some of my journal entries to the editor at the time, Frank Whaley, how do you pronounce it? Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I handed them in, left the office. I was at Village Market. He's like, are you in the building? Can we talk? I want to give you a column. I was like, no, you've skived work. Like,
wow.
I'm like, yeah, I'll be right back.
Wow.
Back to the office. And we sat down, we talked, we fleshed it out. So he taught me how to write. Him and Wayua Moli taught me. Yes. She was my first editor. She was like, Valentine, your writing is all over the place. This is how you streamline a column, blah, blah. So yeah, they made me a writer.
And when you started writing, what kind of focus points did you have?
It was about my dating life.
Your so you've just always been an open book.
Kind of. But recently, no. Like,
recently, no.
Since I got pregnant, I don't want to talk about my personal life. I'm like, go away. No.
Okay, I'm just going to point to the note there. We're going to go back to that.
We're going to go back to
okay. But so you would talk about dating, relationships, a little bit of sex as well.
Yes, and then now it became a full-fledged column. Like Gertrude Mongai was doing a Q&A on sexuality. Yeah. She left. Yeah. And then I asked the editor, I was like, so you give me the page, because we used to do the same page. Yeah. And he was like, no, I want to split it. So you'll do Friday this and Saturday this. So then, so I became a sex writer. And kind of accidentally.
Yeah. How did that come to you with such ease?
I think I've always had an ease discussing sexuality and that kind of stuff. My mom is I was telling you this before, my mom was very open about sexuality. When I came home, I was like, Mom, you know, kids were saying we've done bad manners 3 times, we have 3 children. She was like, 3? For who? Yeah. Your dad and I have sex all the time. It's amazing. I was like, hold on.
So it allowed you to start like a healthy relationship.
A healthy relationship. I always knew I could ask her questions. It kind of made me like the classroom expert. And I'm such a know-it-all. So it was like, what?
Let me break it down to you.
Let me tell you how things work. Yes, that was that kid. Yes. Yeah.
So what were some of the most most fulfilling moments in your journey through radio and even writing? Or what did you enjoy the most? What about that time felt most fulfilling for you? I enjoyed starting conversations that other people weren't having, like a deeper level of conversation, or even a more intimate conversation. So when, and I'm a girl's girl. I enjoy the company of men, but I like women. And I don't know, something about me, I don't know, it's like my spirit is alive and happy and singing in the company of other women. Yeah. So conversations led by women, our version of womanhood, I think we're going through something as African women
really exciting, and there's like no roadmap. We're the first generation that's like so educated, so moneyed, we've got so many opportunities, but for some reason it's like the poor African woman is still a focus, and we who have so many ideas and education, like nobody's really talking to us. So that, I think my media career led me to that. Like I was like, where are our stories? These bank managers, where do they come from? These CEOs, these women who are building highways, like who are your friends? Where do you hang out? What do you, you know, what are you struggling with? We talk about, oh, there's high divorce rate. Why are we getting divorced? Is it that our men weren't ready to marry like such empowered women? What's going on? Yeah, so that's the conversation I'm very interested in having,
And that must have been like the most fulfilling part too, knowing that you were leading that, or you were open
but
to.
But also there was such resistance. People are like, these women are fine. See, they're just buying handbags and shoes and they're traveling. Like, what's up? Why are we talking about them?
Right.
But I was like, no, they're fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
You talked briefly about like being open about, you know, having conversations or writing about your dating life. How did you handle the kind of conversations that come with that? And I guess the blogs and the other,
I think I was... First of all, there were no blogs when I was doing that. It wasn't like blogging was just becoming a thing.
No, there were no like these like
2008, 2007. When it wasn't, because I stopped writing that column 2015. Yeah, so it wasn't as scrutinized as it is now. Internet penetration was not what it was, what it is now. Data was way more expensive.
Right.
And then, there weren't that many, it wasn't really a thing. People were looking at bloggers like, what do you mean? You think you're so interesting. People want to read about your life. Like, yes. So Instagram didn't exist. Facebook was just becoming a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was a very different time.
So did you find, but I'm sure still there were like, you know, newspapers and, you know, there was like a column here that would be talking about like, this is what happened. And or perhaps maybe, is that why you felt so comfortable being able to be so open about your personal life?
I was also younger
life?
And let me be honest, I'm a bit more naive. Yes, because when you put stuff out there, you invite commentary. And then being ready to deal with the commentary is something else entirely. So that was kind of a baptism by fire where you'd, It wasn't, and also learning how to manage relationships. Like I remember talking about a woman I'd met who was 27 and she hadn't lost her virginity yet. And now she was trying to decide how to do it. Okay. So so I wrote about it and then now what do you mean 27-year-old virgin? Yeah. And then also like she felt she had told me that in confidence. Okay. So she was upset with me, but I was like, I don't even know you like that. This was not confidence. This was not a secret. So managing.
Wait a second. So she didn't come to you like, hey, Valentine, there's something I'm going through and maybe you could write about it and tell me.
No, it was a conversation in passing. You know, like you get to a brunch and someone's leaving, so they're wrapping up a conversation. And then she left. It was careless of me. I should have asked. So those are some of the lessons you learn. Like, okay, can you just check with people? But she felt like people knew who it was.
No, I mean, like, no, but then if that's such a specific story, I don't know if people, they probably didn't. They probably didn't. The public wouldn't have an idea.
But she felt exposed, justifiably. But things like that, you learn.
Well, that just made me panic, like what have I just told? Can you imagine if I was like, oh, Valentine, I've got to tell you everything. But I can see how.
But she wasn't even really talking to me. It was like a conversation that was ending and she was leaving. And I caught a snippet and I thought, that's interesting.
And it is an interesting, I mean, it is an interesting story. I'd also would have loved to know how that ended for her.
My idea in the column was don't tell the guy.
Yeah. All right, so I see how, I mean, times have changed so much. And 10 years ago, I guess it was easier to just be like,
was so different.
I'm just going to put it out there.
Yes.
But we've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about how motherhood has been like for you, co-parenting as well, get some tips from you. But we'll be back in a moment.
My son, like to me, he's fascinating. Yeah. I'm like, today, what's going on? What are you thinking? So maybe I'm that mom who's like, can you get out of my face? Can you give me 2 minutes, Mom? Is it okay?
No, I bet he still loves it. I think maybe teenagehood, you might get a little bit of that, like, Mom, oh gosh.
Yes.
But I think, but who knows? If you continue this relationship, maybe it'll be all his life With all your other children,
I
it'll
hope
be.
so.
Yeah.
I hope so, yes.
I'm curious to know if you are planning to have such an open relationship with your son the same way your mother was really open with you.
Oh, we're already doing that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows to tell people, I don't want you to touch me.
Right.
We've role played.
Okay.
I'm like, what's easy for you to say? He's like,
Yeah.
I don't like this game.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, if someone's tickling you, you don't like it,
Yeah.
you can say, I don't like this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And teaching them to have ownership over their bodies
Yes.
quite early. In fact, there's something that you
Yes.
started around
Kids
this.
and Bodies.
Kids and Bodies.
It's an online course. It's on zd.com.
Yeah.
So it's broken up into 5 parts. So it's kids at different points of development. So the 0 to 5 course is up. Then we're doing 6 to 9. Then the 10 to 13. Then teenagers and early adults.
Okay.
So we'll cover everything.
Oh, I love that.
Everything from like body ownership, and it starts even when you're potty training. Like to teach your child is the difference between pee-pee
Yeah.
and like the actual
Yeah.
urine. That like don't
Yeah.
collapse the two.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Oh, I love that. Again, going back to you having conversations that most people were uncomfortable to have, and yet are
Yes.
so vital.
Even though my mom wasn't like that, she wasn't saying
Okay.
that to you, all these
Yeah,
terms
yeah.
or whatever. But she was very, this is your body. If you don't like
Yeah.
it, if you don't want somebody to touch you, this is what you say. So unlike a lot of people who were just told say no, I was
Yeah.
actually taught how to say the no.
Okay.
Yes, how to
Okay.
actually deliver the no.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, ringa for them. And if they don't listen to you, insult them. Become the rude girl. I will back you up.
Love
Imagine.
that. And that kind of power, it just makes you want to, like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter what happens.
Yes.
It makes you feel like you can go out into the world and be
Because
like,
I was like 14 and I was very uncomfortable to go to a specific country club we used to go to.
Yeah.
And my mom noticed, she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, you know, the men there, they kind of talk to me a certain way. She was like, tukana them.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Tell your father you insulted them.
Yeah.
Under what circumstances? I was like, what,
Right.
mom? She's like, tukana them.
yeah.
It's okay.
There's nothing like knowing you've got that kind of support.
Backup,
with,
right?
Yeah, especially
Yes.
with your parents.
Yes. So that's something I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
Don't just tell kids to say no, but actually how to say the no. And
Right.
teach your boy that only yes means yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh. Only yes means yes.
And a yes with a smile, like an
Yeah.
enthusiastic
Yeah.
yes, not yes.
Yeah.
You know, a proper full-on yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So earlier you said how that motherhood made you want to be a little bit more private. Can you break down
lot
why?
more
A
private.
lot more private. Can you break down why?
So I got pregnant. I didn't get pregnant. There was a plan. It wasn't like a mistake, a surprise. No,
Okay.
it was a plan.
Okay.
So and then people started asking questions and invitations like, will you do the cover of this magazine? Will you do this interview? And then suddenly I was just like, no, I don't want to talk about my baby.
While you were still pregnant.
Yes.
So you felt that even
Yes,
while he was.
it started then. I
Yeah.
can't even give you a whole thesis
Yeah.
as to why. It was just like, this is not right. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about my family.
Yeah.
So now he's 3.5. I have a bit more freedom in the space, I think. Like I've been doing it for a while. But I'm still quite private about him. Like I won't
Why?
post his pictures
Yeah.
online.
Why is that important to you?
He's an individual. If he wants to now have a public profile, he's free to do it. You know, there'll be many more apps. Now we have Instagram, Snapchat, I know all these things are coming up. But I'm sure he'll have the opportunity to do that for himself. I don't think it's my job to take that away from him.
Yeah.
Plus, media can be very painful. People say horrible things to you. A friend of mine put pictures of her 3 boys and somebody said some very horrible things about her kids. Like they're not cute or whatever. People are mean. So why would I expose him to that? Especially before he's even learned how to manage happiness. Now he's now managing cruelty.
Pain and yeah.
Exactly.
Rejection.
So no, I'm like,
Right.
you stay away with your bile.
Yeah,
leave
and
my
you'd
baby,
rather just
leave my
keep,
baby alone.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But you're open to speaking about, say, your journey co-parenting.
Co-parenting, for me, I think has been easier than most. Because I had a child with a friend of mine, and it wasn't like, oh, we're having a baby, we're going to be together. It was always a co-parenting kind of conversation. So
From the onset?
yes, which is bizarre. It was a very naive choice. Let me just say that.
Naive. I just feel like it's very like alternative. It's like that's
It's a bizarre thing. To
that's
do.
really
And it's naive in this sense. We thought, oh, you're an adult man, I'm an adult woman, we're having a baby.
Yeah.
Then our mothers had lunch. They're like, so what are we naming this child?
okay. So but that's wait. I think I have to like digest that for a second. I had no idea.
Yes.
You both decided to co-parent. from, and without any kind of like, hey, let's be
We
together.
dated on and
Okay.
off, like we've been in each other's lives for
Okay.
years,
Yeah.
and then it was just like, okay, fine, let's do this.
Let's have, right, okay.
But what I mean by naive, you forget, okay, I wasn't thinking at the time. I thought I wanted a baby, he wants a baby. Like it was, you forget, like you have family. This child now has aunties and uncles and cousins and other relationships you have to create and facilitate, grandfathers on both sides. You're like, all that.
Yeah.
So it opens your whole life up and your
Yeah.
whole heart up. That's what parenting does. And then my life is now, it's not about me.
Right.
Like there's a whole other human.
Yeah.
So I have to think about him.
So for a lot of people, co-parenting is something that happens because
It's plan
there's
B.
Yeah, it's plan B. It was never plan A.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
It's
like,
the, hell no,
well,
we weren't
this isn't
going
working.
here.
Yeah, and often
Yeah.
it's dotted with a lot of like hate and like almost like a
Heartache,
yeah, exactly, pain,
disappointment, rejection.
and
yeah.
maybe some kids. The children aren't always at the core of it. It's almost just like, ugh, we're gonna
That's
figure
true.
this out. Mad at you. So I want to hear from you how you've been able to make it work and what tips you might have or what lessons you've learned that have
It
made this a
still
little bit
takes-
easier.
It's so we kind of function like we're a divorced couple, even though we're not divorced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we just jumped over that thing
Yeah.
and got here. So it takes a lot of emotional intelligence, I think, and then you have to keep your promises. And you still end up having some very deep conversations. It's like you're a couple. So you talk about money, you talk about, oh, if something happens to you, then what do we do here? If something happens to me, what do we do here? Discipline, religion, are we going to church? Who's taking the baby to church? Like, you know what I mean? You still end up having, that's why I say it's naive. I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
I would not recommend what,
what
like,
you did.
because you're kind of still having all the marital whatever conversations. Yes.
Because a child is involved, and there's another being that you're putting out into the world.
Yes.
And I know, I mean, even just from speaking to you for the past 30 minutes, I know that you're such an intentional human being that
Yes.
you want to do
Yes.
the best in putting out like a wholesome human being.
Exactly. So you discuss what school are we taking the child to, why, what education system are we picking, what do you want for your son, like what's your dream, what's my dream,
So
blah, blah.
So how do you handle those moments where you're on different pages?
We haven't been on drastically different. Actually, have we? No, we're very aligned, like in terms of discipline. I don't believe in hitting kids. I think he thinks I'm a little too open in the sex conversation department, but he's like, you know what? It's okay. It's working.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, we're quite aligned now that I think about it. We haven't had like a serious disagreement on something.
I'm curious to know also if maybe you have plans for if you do have a major disagreement. Maybe you think he ought to go to boarding school, and the dad is like,
Oh,
absolutely not.
That I
So
can
how
see
do you-
happening. He wants boarding school. I don't.
So do you have you pre-planned for like, okay, if we do have a disagreement, this is what, if we can't see eye to eye on the fundamentals of raising our son, this is
No.
what we'll, okay.
I think because my son is with me, we're just
Okay.
gonna go with my choice.
So there you
No,
go.
that's just in my
There you go.
head.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like-
in my head,
yeah,
right?
It'll work. Well, I'll
Yes.
ask you then. When the time comes, just give me a call.
Oh,
Let me
now
know.
you're
We'll call
making-
you back and be like,
You're making me think about some.
how did you handle that? Yeah.
Sharing a child with somebody is very interesting because you kind of want to hold your baby like this, but your child doesn't belong to you. They belong, like he has a dad, he has aunties, he has grandmas or whatever.
Grandparents, yeah.
He has his own friends, you know,
Yeah.
people who come into your own life. Like now I have friends because of him, like new moms. I'm like, hey, yeah, our kids are friends. So
Yeah.
we are now kind of friendly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The co-parenting thing, it's hard to do.
Right.
It takes a lot of emotional, like, management.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you know for sure about parenting, about motherhood?
It is, it's the most difficult thing I've ever done. And also the most surprising. So sometimes I'm learning things about myself. I'm like, I had that in me. Wow. Like I've pleasantly surprised myself.
Yeah.
I also didn't know I could love another person this much. Yeah, I'm like, really? Like you think you've been in love with a guy, you think you love your parents, you're like, I love my siblings, and then you have your own child. And like you spend a lot of that first year like this.
Yeah.
Just stupidly gazing.
Yeah.
Yes. I want my son to be proud of me. So he's made me fearless. He's made me fearless. Yeah. Like what I want to see in the world, I'm like, I'm creating it. I want him to live in that world. Like, so things like dadasphere and that kind of thing. I used to really care what people think. I realized people think about you for maybe 2 weeks and then they move on.
Yeah.
If they give you 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think they even
I feel like 2 weeks is quite generous. You're
really
right. Yeah.
Even 2 hours, I think, is a stretch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people think, then they're like, anyway, whatever, it's her thing. It might be like a juicy story. Oh, do you know what Valentine's doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what baby daddy is?
Yeah.
And then it's just boring and they move on.
They keep it moving.
So that has made me, it's made me fearless.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fearless and a love like no other. A love you've never felt. I concur. I have moments where I think, I can't believe you can love. And even when you feel like you've loved the most, you find more love. That's what I find surprising, that I'm like, how do I love you more today than I did 6 months ago? Surely I felt at 6 months that was the peak. Like this, for sure.
And I even find my son energizing. Like some days I get home, I'm exhausted, but I'm like, I see him, I'm like, okay, fine, let's go for a walk. Okay, let's do bath time.
The things we do.
Yes, that stuff.
The things we do.
Yes.
All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, I'll ask about dadasphere, which is one of the most powerful things that we have currently running, I believe.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. I've got Valentine Joroge, and I don't know if you know this, but last year, February, she started dadasphere. And I'm actually going to let you explain what dadasphere is, and I'm going to jump in there with my 2 cents. I've attended one, loved it, but what is dadasphere?
I wanted to know your feedback. Okay, we'll come back to that. Look at me taking over the interview. So dadasphere is, so like I mentioned, I felt like there wasn't enough of us, like modern African women, on TV, in print, on radio. So I actually did some research with InfoTrack, and it was published by the Gracia Machel Trust. And it showed exactly what I was thinking. And the UN has also done similar research globally, and women just we're not covered as much. Even for experts, like eyewitness, there's an accident, whatever, still reporters won't ask a woman, what did you see? Which I think is terrible. Like anyway, so I thought, why not create a platform where African women, I thought it was the TED for African women, but anyone who started a business will tell you, you think you're doing one thing, and then your clientele says, hey, this is what we need, right? So it's become kind of like a healing space. Women tell stories. It's not always sad stories, though you came for, the theme was wounds.
Yeah, I'm still trying to recover. In a beautiful way. But yeah.
So yes, so that's what it is. So women share their stories and ideas in like 15-minute talks.
First, I mean, I had an idea. I knew it was like women telling stories. One of my friends was sharing her story, Patricia Kiharo. And I was coming to like support Patricia. And then like, let's see, what's happening. And I don't know who the first person, it may even have been
Patricia. She spoke first,
and like, I just was like, this is incredible. I've known her for several years, but I never knew her story. And I realized, and actually just the other day, in therapy, my therapist was saying how you'd be surprised to know how many people are having surface level relationships where I'm there for you. I'll come for your party. I'll come for your event. I'll be at your baby shower. I'll take care of your baby. I'll be there for you. But I may not ask you, why do you continue to let that person take advantage of you? Or I may not dive deep into like,
or how does this really
or like
feel for you? Yes.
Or,
what's your experience?
It's more like, oh, I'm so sorry that happens. Anyway, so point is, I remember even just thinking, I didn't know that about a friend who I care and love so much. I didn't know that. And then the other ladies started sharing their stories, and I was like, this is getting more and more like beautiful. And to see, it was beautiful. And I know we were talking, the theme was wounds, but it was so beautiful seeing women speak with such, there was no shame. There was no shame in what, this is what happened to me. This is how this is how I dealt with it, without it even being like, this is what you should do. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's not prescriptive. Yes, we avoid that.
Yeah,
because I think people switch off.
Yeah,
when someone starts telling you,
and so therefore, point one, point two, And then the last one, and I feel like this is the most I've probably ever talked on this show. I feel like I'm interviewed. You really have interviewed me here. But the last one really got me.
Radical.
Because it was, it was just, I didn't anticipate to have that kind of reaction.
So the talks are available, Dadasphere TV on YouTube, because I'm sure someone's like, so what happened? What did she say?
And you should go and watch. And also just attend the event.
On Saturday.
It's coming on Saturday, May 4th, ladies.
Yes.
Ladies.
No, men can attend.
And men. Okay,
yes, men can attend.
Yeah, true, okay, yeah.
And we're getting more and more pressure now to do something for guys. People are like kakasphere and dugusphere. I'm like, I don't know. So it's interesting you said that you know, people don't really know their friends. For as long as I can remember, people would have these conversations with me. Women would tell me, this is what I'm living through, this is what I'm going through. So maybe, I don't know if you've done landmark, but there's a word like, maybe I'm a clearing for it. Like, I'm like, it's okay, you can tell me. But people talk to me like that. So now when Dadasphere is happening, people are like, you mean people talk like this? I'm like, this is my life, what do you mean? So I'm getting that's why it shifted towards this more healing, because people had your experience. Like, no, we want this talk. This is the one that did.
And I guess it's a great challenge for women too, and for friends, for families to have these conversations with each other.
Yes.
To be like, and it's okay, and to not see it as like a definitive moment for you, and that's it. This is who you are, period. You're this painful, like that one thing. And I guess I'm really just talking about the wounds one now. But I know you have different.
You're not the heartache, you're not the heartbreak, you're not the whatever it is, bankruptcy, divorce, like whatever, you lost your child. That's not, it's a thing in your life, and yes, it's painful, but it's not the defining moment. Yes. And also, women are learning, I don't know, there's a lot of mentorship kind of as a side, like validation, I think. Like, oh, I'm not alone. We have so much pressure to be perfect. So I think seeing another woman say, so this fell apart. Yes, or this worked really well. Because it's not all tears. It's not,
And actually, it took
you
me
came
back.
for wounds.
Yeah, I came for wounds. Let me tell you, I cried my little heart out. I couldn't believe it. But it just even reminded me of how you described yourself earlier when you said, I'm this strong woman. How can I have been in this space?
In this abusive relationship.
But also and that's what this space is like. Like, yes, you can be a strong woman, but you can also have failed. You can also have fallen down. You could also have lost something. You could also have built something.
And you can also fall apart.
And you can also fall apart.
Like, you can say, I really tried, and this thing just flopped. Like, for real. Like, gave it everything, and it just... So, and I'm sad. And I'm crying. Like, you can.
And it's okay.
And it's
tomorrow
okay.
I'll wipe the tears and I'll get back to work. So you started this in February. Can you tell me about the first event and how much has changed to the one that's coming up?
The first event didn't actually happen. It was supposed to be December 2017. I knew how 2017 was 2 elections. So it was supposed to be October, and then it got pushed to December. And then there I am, and I'm doing shows, and I'm saying this is happening. We sold 1 ticket. 1. So I had to cancel the event, refund somebody's money. I've actually never said that in public, because you issue a statement. You're like, so due to unavoidable circumstances, we had to postpone. So then what was the first one for everybody else was the second one for me. It went really well. Adele Onyango spoke, a few other women that people don't know that well. It went really well. The response was amazing. And then I was like, okay, so we're continuing. Then you think the second one will be amazing. We had a lower turnout. It rained. I don't know, why do Kenyans stay home in the rain?
It's like lives are over, don't go to work, everything is cancelled.
So it's just been a process. And then getting feedback from women. So it used to be a Thursday night. Women were like, nope, we want it Saturday morning. We're doing homework with our kids. We don't want this on a Thursday night. So it shifted that. I realized I couldn't coach the speakers myself, so I hired a speech coach. It's been growth. It's been growth.
So how do you decide on who to have as a speaker?
Women nominate themselves, or they nominate like women they want to hear from, or friends they have. They're like, my friend has this amazing story. Or sometimes I just meet people, you tell me a story, I'm like, so?
Right, and then of course you are this vessel that's like, and by the way, what she says is so true. I can feel myself, and then the fact that I feel like I could be very open with you,
Okay.
and say things that I normally
And it'll
wouldn't
stop
say.
here.
Yeah, and,
Yes.
and normally wouldn't say to someone who I haven't spent that much time with. But I sense that energy about you.
Okay.
And I think, and I don't know whether it's also because you're very open, and I don't know whether that's it, or if you just have this aura or energy about you that
I'm feeling very special
Yeah,
now.
that makes women or
Thank
people
you.
feel like, yeah, let me just tell you how that spoke to me, or let me tell you what's happening here.
Yeah. So when are you speaking?
See, now I'm really nervous about, like, I would do the interview. So actually, why don't you share the format? Because there is, yeah.
So when you came, we had 5 speakers,
Yes.
and one was an interview. But now we're doing 6 speakers,
Okay.
still with one interview somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And it actually started with Amina Abdi. Amina Abdi Rabah, I keep forgetting the last name. And so she couldn't come up with a talk, like she's just so busy with her MCing and radio and TV, everything. So I was like, you know what, I could just interview you.
Yeah.
So then people loved it, so we've kept it. It's an experience. I don't think I'm the best interviewer.
I think you were good. I think
Okay,
you did a great
thank
job with
you.
the one that I saw. And that's what I was going to say. I don't know if I would speak, but I would be interviewed by you.
Oh.
Yeah. But the problem is I'd feel too safe, and then later I'd be like, ugh, what did I share? No.
So we
Oh my
discuss
gosh.
in advance.
Oh, so you do? Oh, so you do
We
it in
do,
advance? Ah,
yes.
so you don't throw any. Like,
I don't ever want anyone to feel embarrassed or shamed. Also, some of the things, your story doesn't just belong to you. You have family who's impacted by what you say.
Exactly.
So we with the speech coach, we're very responsible. So if you come up there, like Carol Binjo spoke about her marriage and her husband being a recovering alcoholic. So you see, I don't want you to say things, then you go home and your husband's like, bye.
Yeah. That was
How
great.
dare you anika me like this, you know? So, or even like Elaine spoke about her mother and, you know, not knowing who her dad was and the mental illness from that. So we try and be responsible. I'm like, you want your relationship with your mom after this? YouTube will exist forever. So don't say things. It's not that you'll lie or anything. It's just be responsible with what you put out there. Tell them in advance. They're not in the supermarket. People are like, you're the woman who did.
and then what?
Yes.
So what's the theme for this one is beginning and ends?
Endings and beginnings.
Oh, endings and beginnings.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that it would make more sense for it to be that way. Endings and beginnings.
Typically, I come up with a theme and I think, okay, the underlying thing here will be X. So the other one, the moment of, I thought it would be like a point of inspiration or something, but the theme, the underlying, like if you watch all the talks, it's freedom. It's like personal freedom ended up being the underlying theme. So this one, we've noticed a lot of anger in the room.
Ooh.
But endings, I thought it would be, transition, acceptance, this is what's happening in my life. No, it's about anger. But anger is a part of acceptance. I think you get angry. So I'm also learning a lot with every single data.
And anger stems from hurt or...
Yes.
Or maybe shame. It always stems from, so there's something even deeper than
also
just like
disappointment, like this shouldn't have been like this, you know, yes. So it's interesting, each theme. So we've got a woman talking about losing her daughter to suicide. And we've got Sheila Kwamboka, who we're meeting her tomorrow to finalize what we're discussing. She's the interview.
Oh, the
and I'm
interview.
like, Sheila, we're all over the place. Like, we need to narrow it down.
Okay.
And then we've got Sinaida Ora, who plays rugby for the rugby team. She's talking about figuring out who she is and why she plays rugby, like young adulthood, some of the mistakes she made. Forgiveness. Who else? Okay, Najda Khan. I don't want to give away what Nad is.
Okay, don't say.
She's talking about her first marriage, let's put it that way.
Okay.
And also a bit of body weight issues, because people said, uyu ata olewa, like take her to school, make sure she has a good education, she's too big to get married. Can you imagine? Horrible things. Yeah. And then Dr. Tindika Kuti just like finished one job, but is also dealing with something personal. She's going to talk about losing her mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's inspiration in the room. It's not just, it's not all tears. It sounds like all tears.
No, but what it is, and even when I said like I cried my little heart out, it also was a very cathartic moment for me.
Nice.
I needed that. And that's, to me, it's one of the things from last year, like one of the moments in last year where I are very stand up for me. One of the moments last year that stood up for me,
Okay.
because I needed that. So I don't even mean it like, this
amazing.
is so sad, just go and cry. I mean, like, that
Okay.
was what my body, my heart, my system
Ah,
needed.
okay.
So whether we're crying or celebrating, I
Okay.
know it's going to be like
Okay,
a
good.
healing moment, like you described it.
Okay. And then Lucy. Lucy is a midwife. She does home births.
Oh,
She actually
ooh.
brought my nephew into the world.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So what led her to that? Like, she's a very qualified midwife. Why did she
Yeah.
leave like typical like hospitals and whatever and decide to do this?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it's going to be interesting.
an interesting one.
Yes,
What time
I'm very
is it?
excited. So doors open at 9. We start at 10, and you'll be done by 1. There'll be food, but bring some cash for that.
Yeah.
Yes, and then tickets are 2,000 bob. Yeah, you missed the early bird, Poleni.
Oh, it's
I was gonna
okay.
say early bird,
Yeah.
but it's over. It's
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's your dream for Dadasphere? I know you've even started Dadasphere Talks or Dada Talks?
Dadasphere Chats.
Dadasphere Chats. That's the YouTube.
So Dadasphere
Videos.
TV
Okay.
is the YouTube
Okay, okay,
channel.
okay.
Then Dadasphere Chats, we're using like talks, because we've had women talk about everything from infertility, like relationships with your mother, all that stuff. So we're using that as a jumping off point to have deeper conversations with other people who, like Sharon, don't want to be on the stage necessarily.
Yeah.
So and just go deeper into the topic.
Okay.
My dream for Dadasphere is Dadasphere TV. Like, I want a TV station. It's all women. It's all about us and how amazing we are and the things we're overcoming, the things
Yeah.
we're dealing with, what we're struggling with, all that. Yes. I think
Dadasphere
African
TV.
womanhood is so interesting.
I think so too.
Yes.
And I think you're doing
So-
an incredible job of providing a space for people to share that, to explore
Yes.
that, to reveal that.
I want to be Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry?
I want to do movies like female leads, soap operas, comedies, everything. Like, I think we have it, like us chicks.
Tyler Perry. I love it.
Yes,
The
that man has
Perry,
300 acres of a studio, like Black Panther. I'm calling it Wakanda. So Wakanda
Yeah.
exists on Tyler Perry's 300 acres. That's where it was shot.
And that man's story is, it shouldn't be, it should, like, it should be, like, lived in his car, did so many of
Yes.
those plays before anything even panned out
Yes.
for years.
I don't even know why
Years.
he hasn't done a movie about,
I'm sure he
because it would be like a 3-part.
yeah, no, I'm sure he will,
You
because that
know?
is one
Yes.
incredible story. Has
Yes.
like lived through abuse and
Yeah.
and came out stronger, and so such an important vessel when it comes to sharing the
Yes.
Black people's stories and
Stories,
just like culture
yes.
as well.
And again, he used to be told, oh, Black people don't go to the movies.
Yeah.
Black people don't do this. They don't do the other. And it's the same thing. Women don't read. Women don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Women don't da-da-da.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's because we're not seeing ourselves.
Right.
Yes.
Valentine, thank you.
Thank you. I
This
should
is
ask
so
Tyler Perry
lovely.
to mentor me.
Hey, put it out there.
See, he's on Twitter.
Make it happen.
Just slide
Just
the
in the
DM.
DMs.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of slides that we want for our lives. Those are
That's
kind of
true.
sliding into the DMs that we should be
Not
doing.
the other.
Not the other kind. We're gonna cancel those. Put those on the side for now. For now. Thank you, Valentine. Remember,
you.
this Saturday, May 4th.
Western Heights.
Western Heights.
On Karuna Road near Sarit Center.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Alrighty.
And tickets on the website.
Oh, okay.
dadasphere.com. Yes.
Okay. Dadasphere.com.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed listening to Valentine as much as I did. I think her story is incredible, and I think what she's doing is not just beautiful but very important as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And make sure to attend at least one. Like, once you go for one, you'll just be like you'll see what she means by a healing. It's a healing platform. It really is. Thanks everybody for watching, and thank you to Cozy Residences for your beautiful space. We'll be back tomorrow for a fun Friday show. So be there, 8 a.m. sharp. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.